Well, hi there, Clocking the Gallop viewers, and you're joining us for a preview of racing today out at the Vaal. It's a Thursday, and it's the 25th of February, and I can tell you right now that the weather is grim. It is going to rain at some stage during the course of the day, but I have been in touch with Lucky Hudulakis, who's our regular weather expert out in that part of the world, and he says to me that there's been very little in the last 24 hours, and it reflects that in the track report. Neil Andrews, good morning this morning. No rainfall in the last 24 hours, 11 millimeters in the last 7 days. So the track is good, can withstand rain, penetrometer 22, irrigation 18 millimeters in the last 7 days. And there is no false rail on the back straight. There's a couple of races around the bend today. So 2 meter spurt, the 800 meter marker. And on the outside rail for the straight races, bear this in mind, 8 meters false rail on the outside of the track, which will bring all those outside draws in by 8 meters, all the way from the start, the 1600 to the 600. And then there's the cutaway at the 600. So that's a look at the track today. How are you doing this morning?
It's been a tough week. A lot of races, Nico. And apart from this one, there's the Derby Day in Cape Town, the Cape Derby Johnson Workwear Derby. So Ravon, Shaheen and I are repeating the success that we had at Midday and just doing sort of race by race, well, 2 races by 2 races. So we'll do the 2 nurseries, which are the 2 first races, and then package that and so forth. So there's been a lot of studying going on. Interesting card. This is an interesting card, and as you know, it never ends. We've had lots of other interviews lined up, so exciting times. We just drive on.
Yeah, and it has certainly gained a lot of momentum. We've been inundated with people contacting us, and one of the things that I want to talk about is the background so beautifully done behind me by you, but also the fact that we got these in the post yesterday. In fact, the day before yesterday, so we've had them for a couple of days, and these are the catalogs for the 2021 Cape Yearling Sale, which takes place on Sunday at the Mystica Equestrian Centre in Vaal, and you'll be there.
Yeah, I'm going to be there, Nico, and just in terms of buying horses, I've had a few people say, "Oh, you promised to buy horses." No, I'm going to make sure I keep my fingers and hands in my pockets. Because otherwise, we could end up buying it. Although I have to say, it's a fabulous catalogue down there. I thought had quite a nice catalogue. Someone you know very well, Team Gel now as they are, Stephen and Jessica Slack Gel Slack, and also, it's not only from a Maritzfontein, but a Wilkebos Drift point of view. Some nice horses on that sale. Not that it's just their horses. There's lots of nice horses. So I'll be interested to see your take on it, Nico. When you finish studying, let us know if there's any lots you like, because I can always buy for you.
I don't know what cash, maybe on credit. But maybe Michael Holmes will look fondly upon us and give us 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is that this is a big sale coming up, and of course, this is the lead up, Neil, to the National Yearling Sales, which take place in a couple of months' time, of which I'm sure will be very active here in Johannesburg. There's no doubt that these are the premier sales in the country. These Cape Yearling Sales and the National Yearling Sales. So those are the 2 sales coming up in the foreseeable future that we'll be focusing in on. So yeah, you'll be, well, hopefully you'll put together 1 or 2 videos, Neil, when you're down there.
That I'll definitely do. Yeah, Nico, I'll definitely do that as I did before. I had a lot of people who enjoyed that story of the Futura. And of course, we'll keep an eye on him from Bush Hill Stud. It's just nice content. So I'll definitely be there. I've spoken to Johan Malherbe, of course, who's prominent bloodstock, both domestically and internationally. And he said, no problem, you can have a couple of interviews with me and so forth. So yeah, no, we'll definitely have a bit of fun on Sunday. And just speaking of that, actually, Michael Holmes is going to be my guest at Kenilworth on their cup race, which is running. It's an interesting race, not an easy punting race. And we're doing something a bit novel there, which is a great idea from Bloodstock South Africa, is that they're going to be showing snippets of the horses as they went through the sales ring, which is quite nice actually, because you can have an indication of the horse going through the sales room, particularly in that race, because there's one or two horses that have had one run, they've run eighth or ninth in the race. Now, it's pointless showing a rerun of that.
Yeah.
You're not going to gleave anything.
Well, that is
but you'll be able to have a nice
that is absolutely wonderful. I think that is a great touch by them, and forward thinking, Neil, and it really will. I'll make sure of watching that. So that's just before their race takes place, is it?
Yes, I spoke to Michael yesterday and Kirsty. It'll be a little bit earlier, but it's part of the build-up. Yes, part of the build-up.
Sure, it's
mostly, remember that there might be some people out of province who aren't on course, and they'd like to see or remember when they bought the horse or when the horse went through the ring.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I'll study the card and look at for the potential winners in that race. I can already see now, looking at the card there, that one or two strike out at me. I know that Sean Terry thinks highly of Moonier, and I know that the Fortunes speak very highly of Take Control, who's out of that mare Control Freak. So I'm already starting to get excited. But let's go into our meeting today at Thursday. 8 races are carded. I studied this card, so I've got to say that I've worked hard on this one, because I think I let the side down a little bit on Tuesday. Although that said, we did well, Neil, overall. And
well, you told everybody to back Oksana at 50 to 1, and some people got 66 to 1. I see people were complimentary, said, you can't believe it, I got 66 to 1. Thank you, guys.
There might be another one on the card today, if you stay tuned.
Well,
we've got in store.
I'm going to need some convincing if it's the same horse you were talking about. But
okay,
it's an interesting card.
Let's go into it, Neil. And at the same time, I am going to share soccershop.betting when we get to the races in particular, which I've got on the screen for you, hopefully. So the first race is a Work Riders Maiden, fillies and mares. Scratches number 4, Fluorescent, and number 12, Love is Live. I'll take it that's called, or Love is Live. Love is Live. What did you make of this being a Work Riders race? I'll bring up the betting while you have a look at it, Neil. But what do you think of the first?
I'm going to be very boring, Nico. I'm going to just go for Siren of Greece. I think that'll win. Sean Terry is back in. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, because I've got something weird saying return to meeting here on my side. But it's fine. For me, Siren of Greece, Nico. Sean Terry back in form. That's enough for me.
Yeah, I think that is the horse to beat. She is a half sister to Sound of Warning, who came out on debut from the same stable and won. And I think, Neil, on the run to Sent by Destiny, 4 lengths back at level weights, that really sets the standard for the field over here. I thought Rizzoli was an improver, Neil, at 7 to 1. She's going down the straight this time round, and I think she might well be better. I don't think she's ever run up the straight, to be frank, in all her 6 starts. So it'll be her first tilt at running up the straight. And I think she could be the value perspective at 7 to 1 a win. And then Got You did okay last time out. And there's that run behind Oksana first time out for Got You. And there has been money for Got You from 7 to 1 into 4 to 1 here. But I think you're right. I think Siren of Greece could open up the day with Sean Terry as the trainer. On to the second race, Neil. It's the all-to-come graduation plate. And whilst I go to the betting for this one, I don't see that there's any changes over here. What did you make of the second race? Field of 6.
Well, it's not a particularly big field, but it's an interesting field with some fairly nice horses here. Sweet Sensation would look to be the obvious horse, but I think off 58, being a filly, she just might be vulnerable. I haven't looked at the betting, but I suspect she might be favoured. And if she is, I just think that maybe you can take her on. Remember, last time we were very bullish about Anna Capri. That was the day we tipped 8 winners in a row, which Anna Capri was very bullish. But I thought that the cock pair, and in particular, Al Sakit, could be anything, and he was much, the dogs were barking on debut, weren't they? And he delivered in spades. So I think he really could be anything, and he's getting half a kilogram from her. And then Captain Mariska, I think, is better than his recent form, so I think you'd respect that. But I would just go for Al Sakit, the colt, to beat the filly, because there's probably a little bit more in the tank there.
Yeah, I said again, very much the same way. I made it a 3-horse war between the ones that you mentioned, the 3 top ones, Al Sakit, Sweet Sensation, and Captain Morisco. Definitely siding more with Al Sakit than with Sweet Sensation from a 3-year-old. Well, I say 3-year-old, they're all 3-year-olds, so the ones that are in contention anyway. But Al Sakit definitely receiving the half a kilo from Sweet Sensation, although Sweet Sensation has had many more tries. But Captain Morisco, Neil, has been backed from 3-1 to 22 to 10 over here. And I think we've got to respect that money. And I think that he's a definite improver, as you say. I don't think his last run was altogether too good. But if you look at the Sweet Sensation run back on the 5th of December last year, there's a 3-kilo turnaround for a length, which might well put Captain Morisco ahead of Sweet Sensation. I definitely find there more value at Captain Morisco, certainly at the 3-1, than there was at Sweet Sensation at 15 to 10. So I tipped them 5-4-2 in that order. I'm going for Al Sakit as well. Right, whilst I bring up the next race betting, Neil, it's the 3rd race, which opens up the pick 6 being an 8-race card. It's a maiden plate, and it's to be contested over 1,200 meters. Here, no tongue tie for number 12, Touched by Stars. No Alamites for 6, Beijing Moon, and for 8, Master of Finance. The budget was yesterday. Did you have a look at the budget? Does it mean anything to you, the budget, the Tita Mbowene's budget? Does it mean anything?
No, I hate to be a party pooper, Nico, but after about 3 months of lockdown, I stopped watching those country broadcasts. I don't want to be non-patriotic because I think Cyril Ramaphosa is doing the best job he can, but I stopped watching those announcements because otherwise you just end up suicidal. So
yeah,
no, I didn't. And I'm not a smoker, so if cigarettes went up, and or a drinker, so if cigarettes went up and booze went up, it didn't affect me.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's look at this, Neil. You've got Supreme Dance, who's been backed in. Gavin Larena did ride it first time out. It's a son of Futura, so I know that automatically you're going to be gravitating towards it. But it's been backed from 15 to 10 to 12 to 10 or 13 to 10, 12 and a half to 10, actually, to be precise. It ran 5th after its good debut behind Severescent. Is it the one to beat?
Well, I'm going to ignore the last run. I don't think it was an atrocious run, but I think that, Gavin Larena is back on board, and I think he's the right horse. I wouldn't. What price did you say he was?
12 and a half to 10.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much value there. I mean, he is my first choice, but I'll be shopping around at longer odds, looking at a few horses. I saw Farn Buerter's Just As Rich, Piers Stradham rides. Jet Cat was an interesting one for me. I think that last run, it says here he choked and he blew and he was making noises and all sorts of things. So I think he might run into the places again. So maybe there's a bit of value for if number 4 Jet Cat is in double figures. But yes, Nico, coming back to the national sales, there is a Futura on that sale down there. So there's a few that I've got to be very careful. I'm going to sit on my hands when a Futura is in the ring because I do like them. So I would go for number 9, Supreme Dance, but I would qualify that by saying 13 to 10 is not, or 12 to 10 or whatever you said it was, is not great value. So maybe a horse like Jet Cat for the places. But I'm more interested in your take because you've probably delved in a bit deeper.
Yeah, my first choice is Jet Cat. You've picked it. Jet Cat is my first choice. Several things, Neil. It was gelded. Remember, this horse ran almost every week for Heinrich van der Westhuizen, and we have close contacts with them. I mean, we picked a few winners of their yard. So first, it's been gelded. Secondly, it's got a full set of Alamites on, and then it has the apprentice allowance. And Seister has ridden this horse 5 times, yet to run out of the first 4. So Jet Cat at 10 to 1 is mouth-watering. Definitely at 18 to 10 at first 3 positions here, because there's only 12 runners, is also good enough for me. So I'm each way Jet Cat. I think it's got to beat Supreme Dance, but I think if there's one to beat it, it is going to be the 10 to 1 chance. I'm not so bullish on Lazy Guy, although they ran a good race behind Rock the Casbah. They were all tending. They were all tending to run up to Rock the Casbah in the closing stage. It was emptying out, so he ran a good enough race there. But on the Solace run, There is little to choose really between a horse like Lazy Guy and Supreme Dance. There wasn't much to choose between them. They ran almost on top of each other that day too. So that was my look at it. I thought that Jet Cat offered the value. Right, let's move on to a fairly difficult fourth race. It's a maiden plate over 1,200 meters, Neil, and this is due at 2:05. It's the start of the first jackpot. A couple of interesting changes here. Cheap pieces go on. The 9 Bat Out of Hell is the 2-1 favorite. That's the first bit. Then number 4 Petunia has Alamites on. So that's a gin strike, and it has blinkers on that one. So Alamites and blinkers on that. And then I think those are the changes there. So, yeah. How are we seeing this one?
Well, I got a friend of mine contact me in the dead of night while I was following Gulfstream Park Racing and Parks Racing with an opinion in the dead of night. So I'm going to get him to share that opinion in a couple of moments because he's on this podcast or recording. So I'll put it firmly back in your court. What I did look, because you were in front of me at the time, I studied through the night, as it were. I made a note of Zulu War Cry with Kamano back on.
Yeah.
And I remember, Nico, when we were there, I think it was on Tuesday.
Yes, on Tuesday, yeah.
It didn't run a bad race, did it?
It ran 6th. It was beaten 5 1/4 lengths by Flash Rock, that horse of Chris Yonkers that won on his birthday. So it was only beaten 5 1/4 lengths. There was a lot of improvement, Neil, from its previous form.
Yeah, and you know what? He's done very well with all of these Miss Bowles horses. In fact, later on in the day, I think she had 2 and they ran sort of in the places or just off them. So St. John's done very nicely. And it's an active war filly, and we know all about them. So I just thought at a stupid price, perhaps that. But Bat Out of Hell, I would imagine, would be probably the roving banker. There's nothing creative about that, and there's probably no value, but you'd have to respect that. The Dory Sham runner. Nico, other than that, I'm afraid I didn't find too much, which is why I just went really for those 2 and hoping I was going to get some value on Zulu War Cry.
Well, look what price it is. Can you see your screen? Look what price it is.
Something very odd going on my screen because I don't know whether to touch it, Nico, because, I can see it now.
Look at it. There, down at the bottom of the screen there. I mean...
Wow. Yeah.
It's 100.
Well, you're not getting...
It's the horse right at the bottom for Kamala.
Well, that's the price, Nico. I mean, it can't be 101. Because the other thing, listen, it's drawn again. It's drawn 2 today, but it was drawn 2 on Tuesday. And that particular day, if anything, the draw was up the middle outside.
Yeah.
It might have to contend with that again today. But, gee, I mean, it doesn't matter what Smunga Kamala is riding. If it's 100 to 1 and 12 to 1 a place, I mean, you're going to get a good ride. We know that.
Yes. So now that brings me to my horse here in the race, which I think might be value. I do admit that Bat Out of Hell is the horse to beat, Neil. So let me qualify the fact that the top choice here would be Bat Out of Hell, who's had 3 good runs and ran behind a good sort last time in Future Lady. I think that is a decent horse and a horse on the up. And I think maybe the cheap pieces might just bring the best out of Bat Out of Hell. I see that Burmese Tiara is attracted to support the 10. Yeah. She's the half sister to Imperial Ruby, Neil, who we know stays all day, but she's by Vaal, Burmese Tiara. So it'll be interesting to see any follow through for the first time here because it's already at 4 to 1. But the horse I want to pick up on is the horse Petunia. It's number 4 on the card for Kuni De Beer and Kola Jacobs. 66 to 1 a win, and almost 8 to 1 a place the first 4. Alamites go on, Neil. Blinkers go on. Drawn, I think, on the right side of the track. Drawn high at 16, so it'll be on the outside of the track. Caller Jacobs just has to go straight over here, and hopefully he gets a good enough position because early on, you'll see this horse is jumping out okay. If you look at its form, it jumps out okay. So it's not one of those slow starting horses that should jump away okay. Look at the Duchess of Now form line with Bat Out of Hell. So I know that there's 7 lengths difference, but there's a claim 4, which brings it much closer. My point is, if Bat Out of Hell is sitting at 2 to 1 and 1 to 5 or 1 to 4 a place, should I qualify, Petunia is at 66 and 8 to 1 a place. The values with Petunia.
Yes.
It's certainly, if it's 3 lengths inferior to Bat Out of Hell, then, and a Bat Out of Hell might win it by 3 or 2.5, then Petunia's bound to be amongst those horses.
Racing at home, yes.
So I thought in that, and then look at its first run, Neil. I mean, its first run was behind In Haste, beaten a length at 80 to 1 or 50 to 1 or whatever it was.
Yes.
So last time I'm prepared to ignore coughing, and went round the turn in yielding conditions and was well beaten by Say When. But I'm looking at the Duchess of Now and the Florentine form lines, Neil. And if you look at a horse like Stormy Weathers, for example, go to Stormy Weathers, Neil, the 7. I don't know what price that is. That's probably any price as well. Yeah, 100 to 1. Well, I mean, it's on the run to Florentine. There's little to choose between them. And Petunia's probably got that beat. But that's another big roughie. But I just thought that might just have a chance to finish up there in the placings. Golden Spoon from the De Kock stable. I think it's better than its last run when it ran behind Say When, and that was the same run as Petunia. So I think that's got a chance too. So I'm saying Bat Out of Hell and Golden Spoon, probably of the form horses. Of the outsiders, well, I'm going to go for this horse at any price, Petunia, to run into the money.
Well, you've made a case for it, and you can't get hurt at that price. Likewise with Zulu War Cry at 100 to 1. I mean, crazy stuff. But we both agree that for the exotics, for the place accumulator and the bipot, Bat Out of Hell will take our chances.
Yeah. Let's move on to race 5. Race 5 is a middle stakes over 1.5 miles. No blinkers for number 1, Western Fort, which is a very interesting change because I think this horse hasn't been putting it in. So maybe just the equipment change might make it more competitive. So I think that's the only change over here. I want to point out a couple of things. Firstly, this Don't Look Back is going for 4 in a row, and his favourite has been back again from 3 to 1 and 2 to 1. But secondly, one of your favourites is in the race, Earth Shaker. And what interests me about Earth Shaker from Corpus Rouge stable is that he's prepared to put Dennis Shaw's carrying 3 kilos over. You don't often see a jockey declared +3, which has been allowed.
Yeah. I mean, that gives it, I don't want to say no chance, but 3 kilograms a lot. It's 6 lengths.
Yeah.
It's 6 lengths, Nico. I mean, an Earth Shaker is a nice horse. Of 50 kilograms, I would have given him a chance, but carrying 53, no, not for me. Nico, I liked the fillies here. I liked Fife was my first choice. They're both the Drakenstein fillies, Mrs. Rupert's fillies, number 8, Fife, and number 9, Ocean Forest. 2 good riders, Lyle Hewitson and Muzieni. And the one's carrying 53.5, the other one's carrying 51.5, on a line through each other, because on the 5th of July last year, Ocean Forest ran and was beaten 3.5 lengths by Fife, but she's 3.5 kilograms better off. So there's absolutely nothing between them. And Ocean Forest is a year younger, and Alec Laird's yard has been running nicely. So I do give that a bit of a sneak. But for me, the 8 and the 9 there, obviously, full respect for Don't Look Back, because he's clearly in front of the handicapper, but he's now shot up from a 78 to an 84, so he got the maximum 6. I do respect him. You've got to respect him, but at some point in time, I think the weight might catch him and he might run, not a howler, but he might just be brought back to his field. So I respect him, but for me, and again, I haven't looked at the betting. Oh, you've got it on screen now. Thank you. So Fife is at 7 to 1, and Ocean Forest is double that price at 14 to 1. So those 2 fillies and mares were my value play in the race.
Talking of fillies, down at the bottom or nearing the bottom is this chestnut of ours, Plum Field, Joshua and Solomon, who only claims 1.5 kilos. She won a good race last time out, and that was, I think, the first time that she'd been in a while over 1.5 miles.
Yeah, I mean, she won well, and she's got that weight off. She's not particularly well drawn, but, that well has been pumped dry. She's now having her 35th career start. Look, she's got no weight at all. She's carrying Absolutely no weight, 47.5. So you wouldn't suggest she's out of it at all, which is obviously what you're suggesting, Nico, that she's got no weight and she could be competitive, and could be. So what price did you say she was?
Well, she's 10 to 1. She's 10 to 1.
Yeah.
Neil, I agree with what you say. In fact, I'm more in the camp of Ocean Forest than I was with Fife, certainly on the prices there. So I think Ocean Forest got a big chance with the booking of Yenny. That is a jockey
I
strike.
agree.
So I like, that's tantalizing, that 14 to 1 and 17 to 10 a place. Don't look back. As you know, we've been on it every time it's won, apart from the first time where we got left, which we didn't know the horse at all. But we have been backing it the last two, so I give that a chance. Neil, I've got a sneaker for you here, and that's the horse Master and Man from the Gary Alexander stable. I want to throw this horse in because there's a couple of form lines that bring it into the race over here. So I think for me, the value might be with the 7 here for the day, Master and Man, 20 to 1 and 5 to 2, the first 3. So I'm playing flat here. I'm going for the top 2 in the betting. Don't Look Back, Captain Chorus. Then I'm putting in Ocean Forest and Fife, and Master and Man and Plumfield. So there's quite a few here, but I don't want to get, I don't want to go out this leg. So that's where I'm going. The top 3 in the market, and then horses like Plumfield, Ocean Forest, and further down, Master and Man is my sneaker.
Just Nico, I think 5 to 2. You'll get 4 places with 5 to 2. There's 14 runners.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 5 to 2, 4 places. Yeah, 5 to 2, 4 places.
5 to 2 for the top 3 would be a bit tight, but with 4 to play with, you got a chance. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same, Nico. I think again we've seen this race very similar, and I had a few question marks over that horse because I've been for him before, so I wouldn't leave him out totally, Master and Man, either. And again, when it comes to my 2 fillies, Fife and Ocean Forest, I'm with you. I think the 14 to 1 on Ocean Forest is the more tantalizing of the 2. But yeah, interesting race.
Right, now the next one, and here we go. We're going to put our head down and go for this. I think this is your race because your team's playing badly. Although that said, they won in the Europa League yesterday. I don't know why Europa League was on a Wednesday. What was the story there?
I suspect that they probably have a Saturday fixture or something, Tottenham, so they asked it to be brought forward. Might have something to do with that, or travel arrangements for the club. But I think they won 8 to 1 on aggregate, didn't they?
Yeah, but they were playing almost the equivalent of an under 18 type of side, I think. I mean, who are those?
Yeah.
Who are those opposition?
Wolfsburger, they're called. I mean, I thought that was the latest introduction from McDonald's, a Wolfsburger. But no, I mean, I didn't even watch. I mean, that was a fatal piece. As you say, I wouldn't read anything into that. But yes, our Coys is running, Nico.
Yes.
3 runs back, he won a nice race.
And that's the run. That's the run that really sticks out here like a sore thumb. Now, I must tell people that I did speak to Joey Soma a couple of days ago. And just on that, because I spoke to him about Got the Green Light, Joey is going to come on our show. We were meant to go and have a look at a gallop, but frankly speaking, Neil, all the rain has played havoc into the horse's preparation. So he has agreed to come on to our show next week and just chat about where that horse is going, because there's been a lot of interest in Got the Green Light, certainly more so from me on this channel than anything else, but we want to find out exactly how he's doing. So he's promised to come on, but what he did say to me, and I didn't ask him, I didn't even know he had runners on the card. He said to me, Nico, have a bet.
Oh, really? So he was quite bullish.
And you know what, when I studied the race last night, Neil, that run to Nachi, it gave Nachi a kilo and beat it. We know how progressive Nachi is. So when you compare Nachi to horses like Shah Akbar, which is Prospector's form line, and a few others here. Dr. Doolittle has run with the likes of Nachi. Dr. Doolittle has to give Alcoy's 2.5 kilos. Dr. Doolittle is 33 to 10. Alcoy's is 6 to 1. It's a no-brainer. Danielson has ridden it once. That's the value in the race. There's no doubt about it. And I'm surprised to see him that he's only got one horse bigger in the betting than him, and that is White Lightning, who we liked last time out and didn't come to the party. But what did you make of it? Did you study this one?
Well, I did. And Nico, so you mentioned a couple of things. I'll add another one to it. The form lines in the top of the collateral column. He beat War Jewel when he beat Nachi by 5 3/4 lengths. Okay, and he's 2 kilograms down in the weights, and Ward Jewel is up 2 kilograms. So he's got Ward Jewel by the absolute short and curlies.
Yeah.
And he's pretty consistent, Ward Jewel. So if he brings his A game, which is often the case with our beloved Tottenham, if he brings his A game, then and he's firing with the Canes and the Suns of this world, then I think he'll be okay. If he's bringing Lloris and a couple of his defenders along, there could be a problem. So let's hope that our boys...
Aurier.
Oh, Aurier. The list is endless. Terrible. So, yeah, Nico, I'm happy. I mean, and certainly in the context of the race, and you've got it there, he's the second biggest outsider. So I'm happy to go each way our coys.
Yeah, I made Prospector a bit of a run. I have to say that I liked a bit of Prospector. I think he's progressive. But
that was my second choice too, funnily enough.
Yeah, I made between those two. I didn't necessarily like August Rain. He's a half sister to, the mare, E-Ticket is a half sister to Hermoso Mundo. And we know that stayed all day. So, you know, it's got staying pedigree. So the 1800 ain't too much of a problem. But I don't know whether they'll use the front running tactics as they've done the last two, which it's sort of faded away. And if they use those tactics, I don't think it'll stay the 1800. So I'm prepared to take my chances. I'll go with Soma. We went with Soma. I told Joey about rock, paper, scissors. And he also got the place money, but he had lots. He said he could have retired maybe if it had won. Not that he would have, but point being is that I think Arcois for me is the top choice in race number 6. Let's move on to the 7th, which runs just after 4 o'clock. It's a classified stakes over 1600 meters. And I've got to say at the outset here, for the last 2 races, Neil, I'm playing flat. They're too close to call in terms of finding an actual winner. And I'm playing flat. I've got 5 or 6 horses in each race. I'm not going to be too adventurous in this or the next. But how did you see the 7th? What was your top choice?
Well, it was the early hours of the morning. I'd made myself a lovely cup of coffee and I had some Woolies rusks, and I turned over the page. It coincided as I put a rusk in my mouth and I choked. And I actually had to pat myself on the back and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to get the rusk out, because that left a very bad taste last time, 1, 2, 3. So it raises, and now I see the Marlowe's on.
But do you see the comment on the right-hand side of its last run?
Yes, lost crop 300.
My goodness me.
Full comment as well. It said choked on rusk.
Yeah. See, we did our absolute bundle that day.
Well, it's been expensive to follow. If you go back the previous time, he cost our very good friend Eric at soccershop.bet and Lance Michaels cost him buckets. The PA that day was paying huge amounts of money and he banked it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, he didn't get a good ride that day either. No, so this is what I'm saying. This is a strike, because also look at Smunger and the relationship with the horse. He's ridden it actually 3 times for a win, a second and a fourth. So I'm afraid, Nico, I'm back at the 1, 2, 3 well again.
Really are you, Neil? That's interesting.
Yep.
I want to show you something here.
Yes.
And it's a horse I would never, ever go for. Right? Here's the horse.
Okay.
Prince Jordan. Now, why? Look at its form. It's horrible. Its last run actually wasn't bad. 3 lengths.
Its last run was good.
And the previous run was okay. But I want to show you its last run up the straight was, if I go from here, where was it? Last run up the straight. Look at this. It won by 4 3/4 lengths, carrying 52.5 kilos. And interestingly enough, Neil, the 2 horses behind it run in the last race. Private Ruler and Zarbajad both run in the next race. And look how far back this race is. 11th of July, 2019, I've gone back to. My point is that it's run the course and distance once. That was its last run up the straight. It is drawn 1, but it's not a particularly big field. I'm expecting improvement from this horse, Prince Jordan, at a huge price. But it's not,
Okay.
by all intents and purposes, anything to bank or anything like that.
Yeah, well, you don't have to at that price. Nico, while you're down there, I mean, I mentioned Un de Trois, but Make a Penny is another one with Josh Solomon's only claiming 1.5 these days, but nevertheless, this horse is going to come in carrying 50.5, Make a Penny. St. John's Yard is in form. I mean, they're running quite nicely. And she's down 15 merit rated points. This is number 10, Make a Penny, which I think is a bit slung in. The last run was disappointing. I'm just going to ignore that because that isn't her form. She does throw in a howler every now and again. But, when she shed her maiden, she did so off a 75, and then she went to a 78. And now she's come tumbling down. Where is she? Oh, she's scratched. Oh, no, there she is.
She's 20 to 1. She's 20 to 1, yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought Make a Penny. Plus, I think it's a classified stakes race, Nico. So, she's okay sitting lurking off the bottom. So I like to gain the 2 fillies. It sounds like I'm going for all the fillies today. Un de Trois, giving her one more chance because of Smunger, only because of Smunger on, and then Make a Penny. But interesting, a touch of support for your Prince Jordan, Nico.
Yeah, I see
back
that.
up.
I'm actually horrified. I'm actually horrified. It's only 20 to 1, or it was only at 20 to 1. It's now 16. I thought it'd be a much bigger price, but I'd throw it in. In fact, Neil, as I said, I marked 6 horses in total here. All of Dawn of a New Era, who is on the up. I think he's a nice looking horse, but he has to give weight as a 3-year-old. Forever Light is another one that from the Broncos stable that I think's got a chance. Sun Giant tops the boards at 4 to 1. Bravo, one we always go for. Second
I think you do. I don't go for it, but he's done well for you. You've gone for him.
And I'd like to include it again. I think he's drawn on the right side. And then Un de Trois, you say, with Kamala, it's a no-brainer. He has to be included on her. And then Prince Jordan. Prince Jordan was my upset. And as you say, Make a Penny is your upset. But I think it's a wide open race over this distance, 1600 meters up the straight, Neil. Let's move on to the last race. And that is equally as tough. It is another classified stakes over 1600 meters. Blinkers go on the 6 Land of Rubies. Scratches 12, Pucker Up. So it's another tough one. If we're having a look at it strictly, if I do like that horse in the previous race, if Prince Jordan runs well, Neil, then I'll be all over the Zarbajads and the Private Rulers of the world. Zarbajad is 14 to 1. Private Ruler is also 14 to 1. So they're both big prices over here. But how did you see the last race? The favorite is as attracted support Contrail with our caller Jacobs on board, who takes 4 kilos off.
Yes, and it ran nicely. And actually, Alec Laird was quite bullish that it would run well in an interview before the race. And he was right, it did run well. And as you say, the weight's off the back now. But 2 to 1 for me is no value, Nico.
Wouldn't be taking 2 to 1. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be taking 2 to 1. Anatura, who I tipped as my roughie, and actually, it's not in the form guy, but it ran third, I think, third or fourth, but it paid 8 rand a place.
Second, Neil.
It ran second.
It ran second to Senescence. Yeah.
It paid 8 rand 80 a place, Nico.
Correct.
Now, it's got to have a chance here. She's a filly in a classified stakes race, so I'm going to give her a shout out. And then I'm just going to throw in a loony at the bottom, number 11, Magogo, because she's a filly. And I think, did I see Lyle Hewitson's now riding?
Yes, jockey change. Lyle Hewitson's a jockey strike there on Magogo. Yeah.
From Lyle Hewitson. She's dropped also, like the one in the previous race, she's dropped 16 merit rated points from a 78 to a 62. Last run was terrible, so I'm not even going to look at that. But she's an ideal world, so she's got a nice pedigree. And she's, apart from Bold Matador, the rank outsider in the race. So bottom line, Nico, for my summations, Contrail is an obvious favourite, but at 2 to 1, not for me, not in a classified stakes race. Even with the Collar Jacobs taking all of that weight off, I think it could be vulnerable to something beaten. I don't like the race. You hit the nail on the head. I think you've got to go wide here. But what do you like then? What is
Neil,
your choice?
so as I said, I played quite wide in the previous race. I'm going to go the same here. I'm not taking any chances. The horses that I narrowed it down to are Contrail in numerical order. Twice the Surge. I see there's been a bit of support for Joshua and Solomon's on Twice the Surge, so I'm going to put that in. Drummer Dude, we always go for. I don't want it to come up on us, so it's back up the straight, Drummer Dude. And then the Zarbajads and the Private Rulers, I'm going to put them in because I like Prince Jordan the previous race, but Frank's the form, and those two have to come into it. I'm prepared to go with your Anatura because I know we both liked you last time out, so both the St. John Grey horses, but this isn't a race to get particularly involved. If you're going the exotics in the last two races, my suggestion to you, whether it be the place accumulator or the pick six or the jackpot, whatever you're playing, is go wide in those last two races. I went as wide as 5 and 6 horses. And if you're going as wide as that, you may as well go fields. We've gone a bit shorter earlier on, and that's the look at our card for today. Neil, it's a busy time. I know that you and I basically run off our feet. I enjoyed our Tuesday live streaming coverage, but we've got a lot to look forward to. You're off to Cape Town tomorrow. You'll be doing all the previews with our excellent team. They were in terrific for Shaheen Shaw took 5 out of 8 winners, I think, on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, and the one or two races where he was wrong, which was in the early bipod, Ravon tipped the 2 winners. He was all over Captain Busy, and yeah, he got those right. So yeah, we're hoping to continue that for the Derby Day.
Correct, and you'll be down there, and we'll be watching your broadcast of racing from there. As we mentioned, the Cape Yearling sale taking place on Sunday, and Neil will file some report next week. Yeah, and it's all happening, Neil. And we've got Classic Day and at Turffontein next Saturday, the 6th of March. So we're looking forward to that too. But lots on the go here, Neil. Yeah, just to wish you a pleasant weekend. And I've got Lyle Cooper as my special guest on Saturday morning previewing Turffontein. Every time Lyle comes on the show, he tends to tip the pick. He tends to tip the pick six. So it's our benefit for Clocking the Gallop viewers to have Teletractor Lyle Cooper on this coming Saturday morning. I'll be speaking to him as Neil makes his way down to Cape Town. Neil, thanks a lot for your input. Enjoy the day's racing, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, Nico.
Thanks a lot.